Do you also hear that? That's the sound of birds chirping. This sound you hear was recorded in Chennai during the times of lockdown due to the COVID 19 pandemic. If you live in an urban area or near big industrial sites, chances of you hearing it on other times would come to a handful number. Unless human activity has allowed animals and birds to move freely, they can hear lesser sounds and breathe fresh air. However, this good condition won't last long.
The coronavirus pandemic has come with one unintended but welcome consequence.
Coronavirus, pollution and climate change.
Pollution levels are visibly down.
It's also having a big impact on the environment.
Parallels to the climate crisis.
It shows that our air quality is improving as we start to reopen. How long will this last?
Climate change is a problem of not just one day or 1 year. It took years of human activities to get to the point where we are now. Let's start from the basics. The temperature of the Earth before climate change, or the global mean surface temperature, is measured between the period 1951 to 1980. It is estimated to be at the mean value of 14 degrees Celsius. The climate change reports we see rely on this value as 0 degree while measuring climate changes. Here's an image that shows temperature change across past 120 years. Until 1939, we have always had an average temperature below the baseline. But after that, it took a few ups and downs until the year 1970 roughly. After this, the heat on the earth has risen always to a point where 19 of the top 20 hottest years on records are occupied by all the years of the 21st century so far. Now, look at these maps. These are called temperature anomaly maps. They are different from the regular sea surface temperature maps. Instead of showing the whole temperature of Earth at different areas, they show only the variation in temperature from global mean surface temperature only. By now, you might have noticed the changes in the size of cooler regions and increase in the size of hotter regions. This is the temperature anomaly in the early 1880s, and this is how it is in the late 2010s. According to the fifth report by an intergovernmental panel on climate change, if we continue our technological development, fuel usage, and other carbon emitting process at the same rate, this is how the temperature anomaly map might look in 2090s. To give you a better perspective, right now we are at 1 degree Celsius climate change, and by 2100, some of the places in the northern latitudes will be hot by 11 degrees Celsius. The mean temperature is expected to be around 5 degrees Celsius. The sea level will rise. Forget about smaller beaches. Huge parts of different countries and islands at lower altitudes are expected to submerge, leading to an overall mass migration of people and animals to the inward land area over the years. It is also predicted that water scarcity will affect more than 2 billion people. Everyone knows what happens when there is such a demand. Another factor that we've mistaken into the account is mass extinction. Right now, there are around 8.7 million total species on Earth. This includes every living creature like viruses, plants, animals, birds, human beings, fishes, and so on. At 1.5 degree increase, 25% of species are expected to be extinct, and when it exceeds 3.5 degree, about 4.7 million species are estimated to be produced. By 5 degree rise, a majority of organisms accounting to aquatic ecosystems will die as the water becomes hotter, acidic, and thereby supporting less oxygen for lives in it. This is the future we are heading towards with all the actions we are doing right now in the name of comfortable lifestyle and development. Whenever a report or a news on climate change sparks in the media, the blame game begins. Films and other mainstream sources of media pick only the cherries from the top. There are only talks about smoke and waste from factories, deforestation, vehicle pollution, nuclear energy, and so on. We blame big corporations for all the global warming. It might be true, but it is only partially true. Climate change is caused by carbon emissions due to the release of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and some other gases. Almost all of the major human activities create carbon emission. The humongous part of climate change is caused by us, the consumers, the regular people who are watching this now. Yes, you heard me right. You and I, all of us together, we create climate change. We create climate change by the choices we make in lifestyle. Look at this pie chart. Almost all the sectors come under carbon emitting categories. The surprising factor is that even agriculture and other forestry activities also account for a huge part of carbon emissions. In fact, industries produce much less carbon than agriculture. Many of us wouldn't have known this before. Now that you know it, you might as well think about your lifestyle choices. The more extravagant we go on our comfort needs, there is high chance that we are adding more to the whole carbon emission scenario. It always relies on our hand. Climate change reversal is a battle that should have started from our end yesterday. So many of such yesterdays have passed that right now, and we are in a position where we require urgent action starting anytime we can. It is not damage done overnight. It is a damage done across years of exploitation, so it is also going to take years to heal. Together we can make it possible with our little changes in our daily activities and lifestyle choices that we can reverse it a little faster. On a side note, battling climate change is cheaper and also requires less effort. Here are some of the things we can do to help the environment heal. Turn off when not in use. There may be few rooms in your house. When the rooms is not in use, you can turn the electrical appliances off so that they won't consume electricity. Huge amounts of carbon emissions is produced in the energy generation sector. By turning 1 or 2 light bulbs off in our homes, we may not make huge difference for the planet. But when everyone does this, we can lower the quantity of energy produced for us, save on electricity bills in a longer run while also saving the planet. Change in dietary choices. You might wonder how dietary choices impact the climate. It is necessary for everyone to eat, and agriculture is going to produce so much carbon anyway. What difference am I going to make? Well, here's the answer for all your doubts. This graph contains a list of 29 different food items based on the amount of carbon emission they create. If you see it, beef occupies the highest emitting food at about 60 kg CO2 per kg, while on the other end of the scale, fruits and vegetables are seen producing the least amount of carbon ever. As a human, your food choice is completely your freedom, but we would suggest you to lightly think about how your choices impact the planet and see how much you can alter your diet while still enjoying your favorite food items. Repair and use electronics. Electronics is a huge part of carbon emissions. We use so many of them in our day-to-day life, but the fact that they constitute a huge amount of carbon emission is something we have always looked over. Let's take smartphones for an example. Almost 85 to 90% of its carbon footprints is produced even before smartphones reaches a person's hand. Their average lifespan is roughly 4 years, but we often throw them away earlier when the battery fails or the display cracks or some other hardware issue. We consider that buying a new device is going to save money, and also, hey, who doesn't like new phones? The fact that only 1% of smartphones are sent for recycling is hard to digest. All that huge amount of energy that is used in production and also usage is just dumped as e-waste having no future. This shows how futile the concept of use and throw electronics have played towards climate and technological development. But when we repair and use them, we can use a phone till its maximum and save money until we buy our next smartphone. If you give it to an e-waste recycler after that, they might salvage the working parts and use them. Overall, it's a win-win situation for humans and the environment. Avoid fast fashion. New trends and new clothes are always happening. They are fast, and there is also peer pressure to catch the wave of fashion clothes. With fast fashion, clothes are becoming very much cheaper for people to afford, but the hidden environmental cost is never affordable if people saw what was coming behind. Companies went from offering 2 collections a year to 5 now, and the consumption has increased by 60% since 2014. It takes about 2,700 liters of water to make just one t-shirt, and there is also carbon emissions from production, transportation, distribution, and even laundry. Now, look at all the impulsive buying decisions you made that sit in your wardrobe without any purpose. You can reduce carbon and also water depletion by shopping for less clothes every year. It is okay to wear one wardrobe full of clothes for a longer time and have your own fashion sense. It is okay to repeat clothes when you know that you are doing so much good to the environment. Avoid single-use containers. Everyone knows that plastic is a problem in the world, and some countries have even gone to an extent of banning single-use plastic covers and cups. None of these are recyclable or biodegradable, hence leaving a huge amount of waste which is either burned or left as landfill. We find these as a problem, but we also look over the fact that takeaway containers from cafes and restaurants, wrapping sheets of fast food chains, and aluminium foil containers are as polluting as plastic. A study shows that finding a way to recycle disposable takeaway containers could help reduce equivalent greenhouse gas emissions generated annually by 55,000 cars. As we don't have it yet, you can still reduce the amount of waste you create just by carrying your own containers while ordering takeaway. With home deliveries, use of containers is unavoidable, but we can reduce the home delivery usage to only absolute necessary situations. Go environmental friendly. Being environmentally friendly is taught to everyone as a kid right from primary school levels. We learn about things like segregating biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste before disposing. There are several recycling ideas around the world to make use of millions of products. We are taught to plant trees and oppose deforestation. But as we grow old, these values fade away and stick to the least of our concerns. We buy a bigger house and large number of houses to show our wealth, hoard things we don't need as status symbol, stick to a life of our selfish problems while overlooking the exploitation we make and the cost of our future generations and other species have to pay. Perhaps it is not too late to change your actions and go environmentally friendly. Hug the trees and hug the planet. They swallow all the harmful carbon for us and keep climate change under check. We can return the good that Earth does to us by going back to our lessons from the elementary levels. Why should the birds hide and stop chirping? Why should all the other species move towards extinctions because of our actions? Environmental concerns won't end until we as people start working on it individually and collectively. Blaming on everyone else is not going to bring any change. We need to hold the big corporations accountable for exploiting the planet for financial motives. We need to hold our government accountable for not making climate decisions. Most importantly, we need to educate ourselves and hold ourselves accountable because we caused this and we are the only ones who can fix this.